Verdansk is coming back, and we knew this already, it had already been announced, but Call of Duty just released a new kind of CGI pre-rendered trailer thing celebrating Verdansk and advertising the fact that it is coming back. There's not a whole lot that we can glean from this about it, but there are a couple of little clues that make me think we might be seeing some Easter eggs returning back to Warzone. Now, there haven't been Easter eggs for ages in Warzone, at least not proper ones. We had that weird one where we had to put the drone together in Urzikstan that was super frustrating, especially because back then the drone parts used to disappear and then the reward you got from it wasn't that good. I'm not even sure if that's still in there. And we had the bunkers and the special way to open Bunker 13 that was ruined by the fact you could just swim through a tunnel and get in the back way. It just feels like Easter eggs haven't been a priority in Warzone for a long while, and I think a lot of people lost interest in the Warzone Easter eggs after the days of Verdansk and Rebirth Island. You know, back then you could get some absolutely awesome rewards from them, you could get cool weapon blueprints that you couldn't get anywhere else. That was really cool. It feels like they abandoned that a little bit and people's interest waned. And that obviously sucked for me. By the way, sorry about the poor quality of what you're seeing right now. Don't adjust your set. It's not anything to do with YouTube. It's not their fault or anything. This is just some footage from the days of me doing Easter eggs in Verdansk. And back then, I didn't have such a good PC to record footage on. So all of the footage I could find from there is kind of blurry. But anyway, obviously, I sort of made a name for myself in the Call of Duty community for being a part of these Warzone Easter eggs, for explaining how to do them and finding them when they were new, and all of that kind of stuff. That's where I got a lot of my followers, and I met a lot of people from that. And then as the Easter eggs started getting sort of less frequent, you know, sometimes we would go like a year without any, and as the ones that they did put in were less interesting because they didn't have proper rewards or they didn't have very interesting rewards, it was a real shame for me that all of that kind of died down. But now with Verdansk coming back to the game at the beginning of April, a lot of people have been wondering, is Bunker 11 going to return? Like, this was the first Warzone Easter egg where you had to go around, find the sort of code phone, and then you'd have to find a load of Morse code phones that linked up to it. You know, it would tell you numbers in Russian, and you'd have to go find the Morse code phones that linked up to it, and then you could head on over to Bunker 11 and open it up. Like, that was a really cool Easter egg. It got you the Mud Dauber, I think it's like an MP7 or something like that. It got you a blueprint. That was really cool, and it was the first Easter egg. It was in Verdansk, and now we're getting Verdansk back. Are we going to get that back again? Along with, you know, maybe the Stadium Easter egg where you had to run around and grab the cards in there. Or maybe the train station Easter egg where you had to go and get the special train that would take you to the special hidden station. I don't have answers for you about any of that. My gut instinct is to say no. I don't think the Easter eggs have ever really been worth it for the Call of Duty developers. You know, you think very few people end up ever doing them. And there's always a chance that something like an Easter egg could mean spending resources on something that not many people are going to see at the expense of something else. Maybe it could even introduce bugs and complexities and problems that they don't need. It always feels a bit strange to do something that's quite complicated for the sake of a very, very small number of players. So while maybe Bunker 11 won't come back, maybe the Stadium Easter egg won't come back, there are two little hints that we've had today that maybe we're going to get some kind of Easter egg in the new version of Verdansk. The first one was actually noticed by Inkslasher, or at least I saw a tweet from Inkslasher talking about it, and it comes from a very specific moment in this new teaser trailer that seems super weird and out of place. So right near the beginning of the trailer, we see this guy run his hand along the side of a vehicle, and there's a code there. Did you spot it? There it is, 87624851. Now, some of you, if you've got an insane memory for old codes, might recognize this. This is the code for Bunker 3 from the Porn Takes Porn event that happened in 2020. So back then there was like a week where on a website we were getting all these different videos, and sometimes on the VCR there would flash up a code and a grid coordinate, and that would sort of point us in the direction of one of the bunkers, and we could use the codes to get into the bunkers. And there wasn't much in there, you know, it was like a Lenin statue or something like that. Not terribly exciting, but at the time it was just cool getting access to all of these bunkers, like a new one every day. Now, as to the significance of this code appearing in this trailer, I don't really know. Like, I think it's stretching a bit to say, oh, they're letting us know that there's going to be more Easter eggs and stuff like that in Verdansk. I don't think we're going to be able to necessarily use these codes to get back into bunkers. Maybe the bunkers won't even be there or anything like that. Maybe it's just a nod to that memory of, hey, remember when this cool thing happened in Verdansk? You know, it's a nod towards people like us who cared a lot about Porn Takes Porn and were excited about all of that stuff. It's just a fun little reference, an Easter egg in itself for this trailer. But at the very least, it does show that they haven't forgotten about that stuff. They haven't forgotten about those moments. You know, there's loads of stuff that they didn't refer to in this trailer. They didn't refer to when zombies took over Verdansk, or even like the nuking of Verdansk and stuff like that. They didn't refer to the Cold War kind of version of it, or Nakatomi Plaza, or any of that stuff. There's a ton of other stuff that happened during our time in Verdansk that they didn't mention, but they did decide to show us one of these bunker codes. Now, the other part of this, the other thing I wanted to make this video about, is similarly quite a stretch, so just bear with me. Now, when this video was posted today, one of the only sort of support studios that I saw that retweeted it was Verdansk, and I actually posted a little thing about Verdansk being back. Now, this makes me think Verdansk might be working on the Verdansk reboot. Like, Infinity Ward are probably busy with whatever their version of the next Call of Duty is going to be. I don't know really what Raven do anymore. They seem to be overseeing Warzone. I'm not really sure. But anyway, there's been a history of different teams working on different Warzone maps. As far as I know, Infinity Ward made the first version of Verdansk. Verdansk made Rebirth Island, as in, well, they adapted it from like Alcatraz back in the sort of Black Ops days. And then like High Moon Studios worked on Fortune's Keep. Raven worked on Caldera. We've had like different studios working on different maps. That's been a normal thing for a while. And Verdansk, a French studio, have been really cool in terms of Easter eggs. They gave us what for me was the best Easter egg Warzone's ever seen. That original Rebirth Island one, you know, where you were going to find a briefcase and a photos and you had to go find the little codes and put them together to open up the red room. I loved everything about that Easter egg. I thought it was so cool. So they did that. And they also worked on Vondel, that map, and that map had tons of Easter eggs. And I think by then people didn't really care about Easter eggs all that much, so it kind of got passed by a little bit. But the Vondel Easter eggs were really, really cool. They had like a little bit of a story behind them. There was quite a few different things going on, and they kind of changed a little bit over time. The Vondel Easter eggs were awesome. So if Verdansk are working on this new version of Verdansk, I think there's a decent chance that we might get to see some new Easter eggs, or at least some restored Easter eggs, because they seem to at least have an interest in them. Weirdly, I think Raven are actually the one studio that don't really care about Easter eggs. Like, you know, Infinity Ward gave us Easter eggs in Verdansk, Verdansk gave them to us in Rebirth, High Moon Studios did some awesome ones in Fortune's Keep, and then like Caldera, we didn't have any Easter eggs at all, really. Like, there weren't any proper Easter eggs. And then Urzikstan, similarly, there's not really been any good Easter eggs. So I get the impression Raven don't care about them anywhere near as much as some of these other studios do. So yeah, what do you think? Do you think these are signs that we might be getting Easter eggs back in Warzone? Do you even care if we get Easter eggs back in Warzone? I'm always interested in what kind of the public perception of them is. You know, if you're on this channel, you probably care about them more than most people. But like, would you be excited? Would you rather they do Bunker 11 again and the stadium cards and stuff like that? Or would you rather we had some new Easter eggs, but of that quality? For me, obviously, I would rather have new ones. I'd love for maybe for Bunker 11 to exist again with maybe an expanded interior. You know, it was always a bit mysterious with that countdown and stuff like that. I'd love to have something like that, but maybe a new, equally complicated way of getting in there. That would be awesome. It'd be nice if I didn't have to remember how to count to 10 in Russian again. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one. And of course, I will see you in Verdansk when it drops at the beginning of April.